All right, today we're diving into a really provocative idea about helping people. And I'm telling you, it might just flip everything you thought you knew about kindness right on its head.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Is giving money to someone who's struggling always the right thing to do? I mean, our gut reaction is, of course, yes, right? But the philosophy we're going to unpack today, it argues that the answer is a hard, and I mean hard, no.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at what's called the helper's dilemma. Then we'll get into this wild idea of a divine plan for hardship. After that, we'll talk about the danger of easy money, what the right way to help actually is, and finally, how your actions can literally shape someone's future.
Okay, so let's get into it with a situation I bet we've all been in, or at least thought about. You see someone you care about, maybe a friend or a relative, and they're really struggling with money. What's your first instinct? It's to help, right? To just open your wallet, give them some cash, and take that pressure off. It feels like the most compassionate but kindest thing you could possibly do.
But this is where things take a really sharp, unexpected turn. This philosophy asks us to completely reframe how we see poverty. It poses a pretty wild question. What if that financial struggle isn't just a random bit of bad luck? What if it's happening on purpose? Okay, so here's the core idea, and it's a big one. The argument is that financial hardship is actually a lesson from a higher power. The source material uses the word God. The whole point, apparently, is to get someone to correct their bad habits and force them to make a real fundamental change in their life. So it's not a punishment, you see. It's more like a really tough but necessary class they have to take.
And to make this make sense, there's this really powerful analogy. Think about it. When a parent withholds an allowance from their kid, is it because they hate the kid? Of course not. It's because they love them and they're trying to teach them about responsibility. Well, this philosophy applies that exact same logic to a higher power. The hardship is a form of tough love, designed to push you to be better.
Okay, so if we accept that premise, that hardship is a lesson, then what happens when we jump in with a cash handout? Well, according to this way of thinking, that's when things get really, really dangerous. The argument is that when you give money, you're directly messing with that divine plan. It's kind of like you're the cool uncle who secretly slips the kid a $20 bill right after their parents grounded them and cut off their allowance. You think you're being the nice guy, but what you're actually doing is completely undermining the lesson the parents, or in this case, that higher power, are trying to teach. And here's the supposed chain reaction, the downward spiral that gets triggered. First, the person gets a taste of that easy money. Why work hard when you can just ask, right? So they stop trying to fix their own problems. This then snowballs into a habit of just borrowing and begging. And when that well dries up, the claim is they might even start lying to get more. The end result? It completely ruins their life. And get this is probably the most shocking part of the whole philosophy. It predicts that the person you helped won't be grateful. No, it gets worse. They will eventually turn on you. They'll actually come to resent you. The source is super blunt about this, saying this is something that accurately happens. It just completely flips the script on what you'd expect from a good deed. Okay, wow, so if just giving cash is the wrong way to help, then what's the right way? This is where we get to the solution part of this idea. It's all about making a big shift in how we think, moving away from charity and towards opportunity. So the solution is called true help. And the core difference is simple. It's not about giving something for nothing. It's not a handout. It's about building them up, fostering self-reliance by creating a chance for a fair exchange. You know, value for value. So what does that actually look like? Well, it's laid out as a 3-step process. Step 1, you really have to pay attention. Observe the person, understand what's really going on. Step 2, here's the key. Instead of handing over cash, you create some kind of task for them. Find them a job to do. And step 3, you give them money, yes, but it's not a gift. It's fair payment for the work they just did. And you see the huge difference, right? This isn't a handout, which, let's be honest, can feel pretty demeaning for the person receiving it. Instead, you're creating a dignified exchange. You're giving them a chance to earn their way forward. That's empowering. It respects them as a capable person. All right, let's put these two approaches side by side, because the difference is night and day. The choice you make, handout or opportunity, is framed as having these massively different outcomes for the person you want to help. Yeah, check this out. On one side, you've got the handout. The outcome? Dependency and resentment. Your role? You're basically an interferer. And the long-term effect? The source says it ruins their life. Oof.
But on the other side, you've got the opportunity. The outcome there is self-reliance and genuine gratitude. Your role, you're a partner in their growth. And the long-term effect, it actually helps them change their habits for good.
So when you boil it all down, this philosophy puts a pretty heavy responsibility on people who are in a position to help. It's saying it's not enough to just throw money at a problem. The real responsibility is having the wisdom to guide people towards standing on their own 2 feet. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the big takeaways here. 1. Financial hardship is viewed as a lesson, not a tragedy. 2. Direct handouts can actually backfire and create dependency. 3. The idea of true help is all about creating opportunities for a fair exchange. And 4. This whole method is supposed to build dignity, self-reliance, and respect. And that leaves us with a really tough question to think about, doesn't it? The next time you're in that position and you really want to help someone, what are you gonna offer? A handout or an opportunity?